All right, guys. So one of the things that I want to do is a series on when I'm reviewing the stem cell clinics that I did consults with. Now, yes, I think this is a little bit of a questionable idea because of the fact that I didn't get treatment at these clinics. But I do think that it could save you guys the trouble of doing a consult or even traveling to these places based on the experience of someone else that may have a similar health profile to you guys. So I did already film one of these because I had a horrible experience with a clinic. They're not just a stem cell clinic, they do lots of different treatments, and I did not have the consult went very well, but the things that happened after did not go well. And so you'll see that that'll be posted soon. So I want to go through the list of the stem cell clinics. Some of them I may delay doing a review of them until maybe later, but I do want to highlight some of the good and some of the bad, and to kind of save you guys the trouble of considering these places. Now, this one, Novastem, this was one of the first clinics that I did a consult with, and I really liked the doctor. And this was actually the clinic that I was going to go to until my doctor told me, no, don't do stem cells. You're going to have a bad reaction to stem cells. And if you guys have been watching my exosomes videos, you know how that went. So Novastem is actually in TJ. So it's right here at the border, very close. And the doctor's name is Dr. Felix. And I actually did leave her recently a good review on Google Reviews because a lot of these clinics, believe it or not, they rely on these reviews, particularly Google reviews, which seem to be becoming more popular. I remember Yelp reviews was like the big thing a few years ago. But Google reviews appears to be the place to go, and a lot of these clinics are aware of that. So if you have a bad experience with any of these clinics, please leave a review on Google reviews. I did not get treatment at Novastem. I left her a good review because of the professional manner in which she handled my case. So I did do the initial consultation. I think it was free, but I don't think they are free anymore. I think they are starting to charge for the initial consults because of the fact, probably because of the pandemic, but also, because I think it's just getting expensive, to run these clinics in general. But I did have a free initial consultation, and I think I did send her blood work and all of that. We did talk. I told her what was going on with me. The Lyme disease situation and the stiff person syndrome situation. Now, I had multiple consultations around this time. This was the fall of 2021, before I did the exosomes. I had several consultations. She was one of maybe 5 that I did. Most of them were clinics in Mexico. She was the only doctor that expressed some concern and some apprehension in taking me on as a patient. Keep in mind, that's 5 clinics. She was the only one. And she, the consult went very well. I think it was only supposed to be like 20 minutes. I think she spent like 40 minutes with me. She spent more time with me than she was supposed to. It was a free consult. I believe I did some blood work beforehand. She was not going into this blindly. And she told me, she said, she did warn me. She was the one doctor that warned me that these treatments don't always go well. But she did say that she wasn't too familiar with stiff person syndrome, and that she had to look into that further before she could really say, what she could actually do for me. She did not offer me a treatment plan. She did not offer me an estimate, which a lot of people would be like, oh, that's terrible. That's bad service. But let me tell you, all the other clinics, immediately after the consult, treatment plan, an estimate. They have it itemized, the itemized list, everything. And keep in mind that a lot of these clinics advertise their treatments as customized to the patient's individual needs. They're not, let me tell you. And so she expressed some concern taking me on as a patient. So the consult was very good. She was very respectful. She was very nice. She was a woman, which you can automatically tell the difference when you're talking to a female doctor than when you're speaking with a male doctor. And that was kind of the end of that. It was a good consult. I never heard anything back. I did not get, like I said, a treatment plan or an estimate. A few weeks later, because I was still going back and forth with my doctor here, going back and forth with the exosome situation and so on and so forth, and she kept telling me, don't go to Mexico, don't get stem cells, you're gonna regret it, blah blah blah. Fine. So, and I was also doing other consultations with other clinics. So I was like, I don't need to hear back from her immediately. A few weeks later, I think I did contact their office and I was like, hey, is it possible that you guys could give me a treatment plan, what the dosage is and that kind of thing. And they did provide it. They did provide it for me. She had the lowest prices of all the clinics. I'm guessing, I think too, it was the lowest dosage of all of the clinics. And I have a feeling that the reason for that was because of her apprehension. Like, she didn't want to give me this massive dose of stem cells, given my medical history and her own experience treating patients with a history of Lyme disease. And she has treated patients successfully and unsuccessfully. She told me both. So was the treatment was a fraction of the cost of all these other places. They do use dental pulp stem cells. So they're not using umbilical cord MSCs, it's dental pulp stem cells, which I think that was kind of the deal breaker for me because it just sounds kind of gross. But at this point, I really don't know what the difference would be since I had such a bad response to exosomes. Now, fast forward, this was the fall of 2021. I did exosomes at the beginning of 2022. And I had the bad response, after a few months, probably by April, I knew something was going on. So I call up I make an appointment with her clinic and I was like, I know I have to pay for this appointment, but I want to talk to Dr. Felix again because I have some questions to ask her. Because as you guys know, I was not getting answers from my own doctor or anybody else. I wasn't getting an honest, straightforward answer. And I really felt that I was going to get something honest from Dr. Felix because she had been, like I said, the only doctor that was not, she was not really feeling like she could take me on as a patient. Like I could sense there was that hesitation. So, I paid for the appointment. It wasn't that expensive. And she spent, again, more time with me than she I think it was only supposed to be like a 30-minute appointment, and I think it was like 40 or 45 minutes. And she told me, she said, she basically was like, this was kind of what I was telling you, is that sometimes it can go well, sometimes it doesn't go well. She said, and this is very specific to people that have a history of Lyme disease. She says, and I don't know why that happens. She says, I don't know why some people respond well and some people don't. She said, she says, rest assured, you will go back to how you were before. So she reassured me that the flare would pass eventually, and then I would go back to how I was before. So she was just like, it's okay. You will go back to your previous, however you were, and you'll be fine. So she kind of put my mind at ease, but she did, she kind of also, she was very real with me. She highlighted the fact that, a lot of these places that have products, a lot of these scientists, because she's familiar with the scientist, she knows who he is, the guy that developed the product, the exosomes product that I actually used. And so she was like, I know him. She goes, he's nice. She said, but you have to understand that they are trying to push their product and they're going to sell it in a way that makes it seem like it's better than what it actually is. She says, this is every company that sells stem cells or exosomes or whatever. She said, this is just how they do business. She said, so obviously, my doctor was going to think that it was the greatest product on earth because that was probably how it was sold to her. And she was also the one that kind of told me, because I told her, I said, I find it surprising that, where the product came from, the distributor or whoever, was not aware how the product was being used. She goes, they know. She goes, I know that it's not supposed to be used that way. She goes, but they do know. She goes, they know. Basically telling me like they are aware that the product is being used off label for, not the way that it's supposed to be used here in the United States, because it's prohibited to do IV infusions of stem cells or exosomes or anything like that here in the US. So she was very, very honest and straightforward with me. She did not BS me at all. She did not give me the runaround. The reason why I am giving her a positive review, and if you are looking for a stem cell clinic and you have similar medical issues to me, or maybe even long COVID, that kind of thing, I would at least do the initial consultation with Novastem, with her. Even if you have to pay for it, because she's going to be straightforward with you. She's going to be real with you, and she's going to be like, I don't know if this is going to work for you. You may not do well on this. Whereas a lot of the other clinics that I did consultations with were like, we got your treatment plan, we've got your dosage, here's all the things that we're going to do for you, and this is the price. I saw that pattern with a lot of these other places, and it's weird when they all do the same thing. And she was the only one that stood out to me that was just like, I don't think so. So it would be worth doing the initial consult and sort of getting an idea, like taking the temperature or whatever, people say, gauging her response, because she's going to be honest with you. I think another reason why she's able to be that honest and straightforward is because her clinic doesn't just do stem cells. They do beauty treatments, they do exosomes, facials. I think they do like ozone IVs. So they don't solely rely on the income from stem cell therapy. They have a lot of other, IV therapy, things like that. So she's more able to be honest when it comes to stuff like that, because she has income coming in from different types of things. And she also doesn't want, again, these places do not want the bad reviews. They do not want people leaving bad reviews on Google or coming up to them. Keep in mind, she's right here in TJ. So it's a few hours drive. I could easily go back to her and be like, hey, I don't feel good. Why did you do this? Whereas, a clinic in Cancun, I'm not going to get on an airplane on a 4 or 5 hour flight and go over there to complain. So I do think that, like I said, she's a good place to start and to gauge her response. And if she's seeming kind of iffy, with your condition, and like she's like, I don't know if I should, if this is a good idea, or if she's hesitant, then that I think she's very honest. And I think that going off of what she's, whatever vibe she's giving you is going to tell you probably how you're going to respond to these types of treatments. So Novastem, I give them 2 thumbs up because of their honesty. Their prices seem pretty reasonable. She seems very careful. I don't think that she's going to be reckless. She's not going to put massive doses of this stuff in you if she does it at all. So I give Novastem 2 thumbs up. They're right here in TJ. And I liked her. I know that some people are going to be like, okay, feminist, whatever, but she is a female doctor, and I noticed the difference right away when I speak to a female doctor. So anyways, guys, that's what I have for you. I will make these reviews on these clinics. Like I said, I hesitate to name them because some of the experiences were not great. But when the experience is really, really bad, I do think we need to speak out, as well as when the experience is really, really good. The other clinics that were kind of like so-so, I'm still going to do a little review. Some of them I have to be careful. But like I said, I want to save you guys the trouble, because I did a lot of this myself, made a lot of mistakes, as you guys know, and I want to save you guys the time and the trouble. Some of you guys are coming from farther away. I'm right here in Southern California, so if I go to TJ, it's not that big of a deal. But a lot of people come from Canada to, there was actually a famous hockey player from Canada, I think, that she treated. He had a stroke, and they treated him for a stroke at her clinic. But yeah, a lot of you guys are not coming from California. You're coming from much farther away, and it's probably a good idea to hear it from someone, from a person. At least, you know, my experience, even if it was just an initial consultation, because you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised the vibe that you will get from an initial consultation. And I have another good story for you guys when it comes to an initial consultation, and how you can really gauge whether someone is going to be a good treating doctor, or, you know, some of these doctors just give you that vibe right away. Like immediately you're just like, no, this is not, there's something not okay here. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.